All right. Let's talk about synthetic polymers. So first of all, polymers, remember, are big, long strands of a single unit. All right. So like if you take A plus B, okay, and you react it, you get A, which is hooked to a B, which is hooked to another A, which is hooked to another B, which is hooked to another A, hooked to another B, and so forth and so on until you have this gigantic molecule. Okay. Fibers like wool and silk obtained from animals are proteins that are linked by amide bonds. Okay, and they're kind of a polymer of amide bonds of repeating units. And this bond right here is an amide bond where you have a nitrogen and a carbonyl with two carbons on either side. That's called an amide bond. All right, and your R groups are all different R groups, and depending on the R groups, you can either have wool or silk. Okay, so the polymers are made with the amide bonds labeled in red. All right, so two classes of synthetic polymers is what's called a polyamide and also a polyester. You've heard of polyester. A lot of clothes are made from polyester. Polyester, same exact thing, but you have an oxygen here because you have an ester group. Okay, so nylon is a synthetic polymer. Okay, and through a condensation reaction, you form an amide bond. So you basically have an amine. Okay, it's a diamine. You've got amines on both sides, and you have a molecule that has a carboxylic acid on both sides. So basically, this nitrogen hooks up to this carbon hooks up to this nitrogen hooks up to this carbon, and so forth and so on until you have nylon. And nylon are a bunch of amide bonds, and it just keeps going and going and going forever and ever and ever. Okay, obviously not forever, however much a compound you have, but that's basically what nylon is. It's a diamine that has 6 carbons in it, and you react it with a diacid that has 4 carbons in it. All right, that's why you get what's called nylon 6,6 because your nitrogen compound has 6 carbons and your carboxylic acid has 6 carbons. Okay, polyesters, same type of thing. Polyesters, I don't think a lot of clothes are made of polyester, or if they are, it's a very small percentage of polyesters. Um, but a lot of the materials that we have is what's considered a polyester. All right, like a mylar in a balloon. All right, plastics in a soda bottle or a water bottle. All right, and you can see the ester group right here. Okay, and so you have an ester attached to a 2 carbon chain, and so it's basically you have this group, which is a diacid. You have 2 acids, and then you have a diol. You have an alcohol has 2 ends, and it just keeps repeating over and over and over and over again. Okay, and here they're trying to show some examples. Honestly, guys, I have no idea what that is. Your guess is as good as mine, but I'm guessing they're showing some sort of plastic. All right, here they're showing like a material, either yarn, probably like nylon thread is what I'm assuming. Um, no, that looks like a suture. Now I'm looking at it, that looks like a suture because this looks like they are sewing up some inside of a person. Isn't that lovely? All right. Um, Part C of this is more about synthetic polymers. Slow degradation of polyesters are useful for making sutures, so perfect, that is exactly what we were looking at. The mending tissue is held together by a length of time to heal, and then the sutures break down. So these are like, this is what a dissolving suture is. Uh, Basically, you have these ester bonds, and these ester bonds will eventually break over time. All right, and um, interesting enough, it's lactic acid, which our body knows how to handle, and glycolic acid, which is an acid that kind of gets produced during glycolysis, which means it's the breakdown of sugar into energy. So the material is eventually broken down into things that our bodies are able to handle. All right, but it starts out as um, a polyester. Okay, many polymers do not all degrade, and they are in our landfills. All right, like styrene, like polystyrene are some of them. Um, to lower a polymer's recycling code, the easier it is to recycle a polymer to combat the waste problem. So trying to get smaller like polymers, between 1 to 6 carbons long. Um, uh, the PET polymer that we saw right here, all right, this polyethylene terephthalate, um, has a code of 1 as it's the easiest to recycle and reuse, and it's used in fleece and in carpeting. Um, Also, if you heat it in water, you can actually bring it back to its original all the monomers, the diacid and the dialcohol, and you can start all over again and remake more of the polymer. All right, so actually we can continue here. 17.11 is penicillin. All right, penicillin was invented in the 20s by Sir Alexander Fleming, kind of revolutionized our whole entire lives, our medical, field. Um, and basically what happens is that penicillin interferes with the enzyme that synthesizes the cell walls of a bacteria. So a bacteria is basically a living cell, and you need a cell wall in order to protect all the innards of the cell. But what penicillin does is it interferes in the synthesis of the cell walls. Okay, and you have a bunch of amides and carboxylic acids. This is kind of a generic form of penicillin. You kind of change the R groups here. You can put other groups here, but pretty much you need a carboxylic acid. You notice you have an amide here and an amide here. Okay, but this amide is what's called a lactam. We talked about what lactams are. Lactams are amides that are inside of a ring. All right. I believe they usually also have a sulfur right there too. This is kind of characteristic of a penicillin molecule. All right. So it's what's called a beta lactam because you have this amide that's inside a ring. All right. So here are some examples. Here's penicillin G. Here's amoxicillin. This is a very, very common one that is given, especially to like children. I know a lot of kids usually respond very well. This is an amino acid right here. I believe that's tyrosine, the amino acid tyrosine. And then you have your beta lactam. All right. So there we go. That is the rest of chapter 17. We will talk about it in class next time we meet in class. And please ask questions.